Here's the great debate. Is boondocking off-grid camping, or is camping in a luxury resort with a pool, a water slide, and something to do? Depends on who you talk to. It's all about perspective. But today, right now, we got Brother Nathan right here from the west side of the Mississippi River, from California. He's going to break it down from a West Coast perspective, how boondocking works out there, and whether boondocking is a better bang for the buck than sitting at a campground. Check it out right here on Hanging with the Hazes. Here's Brother Nathan.
First thing I wanted to ask, I think I sent you a little bit of the script and what we were going to do today. The cost of camping has become like hotels. Now, Mr. Nathan, if we can talk money for a second. Let's try that again. Campground prices these days have gone up, like astronomical. Some places want $80, $100, even more, just to park and plug in. No hot meal, no massage chair, just gravel, hookups, and a public bathroom with questionable water pressure. So my question for you is, has the price made you change your routine? Are you boondocking more to keep things simple and affordable, or do you still, pay a little extra for that convenience and peace of mind of being in campground? Which do you prefer?
Well, see, that's where I'm a little different than I would say the average traveling RVer, since we full time. Is we're not big resort people, so we don't need all the amenities. We're not looking for the pools and the restaurants and all that neat stuff. So, a good clean mom and pop, campground works for us. But, like you were saying earlier, the prices, even for them, is is going up as well. But, not at the rate that some of these resorts are charging right now. So, for me, I look for the best deal that's out there. I try to keep it less than about $70 if I can. On the coast, it's impossible for the most part, unless you go to city parks or county parks, state parks. You can keep the price under about $50 a night. But if you're going to a private campground, it starts at about $60, $65 and goes up from there.
Now, do you do any type of boondocking at all off the grid?
Yeah, we do about 60 to 70% of boondocking. So when we travel, that's what we look for. But if we're destination traveling, it really depends on where it's at. If we're going to boondock or if we're going to try to find a campground somewhere.
Interesting perspective. Now, you said two things that kind of stuck out for me, and I just want to point them out. You're a full timer, so are we. And with being a full timer, do you find it? And we don't move, so we have a site that we pay for monthly, and we stay here. But you sound like you're moving around a little bit. Do you find it difficult to find decent places to be off the grid, or in California, is it pretty wide open?
It's a little background on us. We've been out here for 8 years. We've been on the road for 8 years. We do. We have a camp hosting gig that we do. So, but we travel. Our camp hosting gig allows us to travel about 7 months out of the year. So, for 7 months, we're on the road. We're actually out there doing our thing, seeing stuff. But as far as boondocking is concerned, on the West Coast, I would say west of the Mississippi. And that's kind of where we centralize our travel. We venture into the East Coast sometimes, but most of it's west of the Mississippi. There's always a place to boondock. There's always BLM, forestry land, harvest host, boondockers welcome. There's always places where hip camp, where you can boondock for little or nothing.
Okay. And what do you camp in?
Say again?
What type of unit do you camp in?
A fifth wheel. We have a 35-foot Alliance fifth wheel.
Okay. All right. Now, interesting you mentioned that, because here on the East Coast, we don't have that luxury.
Right.
Let me take that back.
But you can. Yeah,
but
there is some.
It's you don't get that type of availability and luxury until we get into like Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama. You can get into it. So the West Coast definitely has a big plus when it comes to, like you said, some of the what was you mentioned the lands. What was it again?
BLM. Bureau of Land Management, you have forestry, you have state trust land. So there's like 3 or 4 different ones that are run by the government or federal. Say again?
Are you former military as well?
Yes.
Okay. Do you find that makes an advantage for you? Like, does that open doors that most people don't have?
No. To be honest with you, most campgrounds, most campgrounds don't give a military discount, which I found pretty interesting. We've traveled, like I said, we've traveled probably 35 states now. As far as the campgrounds themselves, if you ask, some will, but it's not what they normally do. We have found places in the Midwest that if you mention that you're military, they'll give you a 5 or 10% discount. On the West Coast, you're not getting it, especially if you're a resort, unless they're really going through times where they're not getting a lot of rentals, people coming in, campers coming in. Then they might throw you a 20%, and that's what's happening here in California. Like right now, because these prices have gone so high at some of these resorts, people they're finding alternatives to using the resorts, because right now they're averaging about $200 a night for a resort out here on the West Coast. So when you have something like that, you're limiting who you're going to get. You know what I'm saying, as far as campers, and they're starting to struggle with that. Yes, sir, and higher. And higher. Yeah, we have a brand new sun resort here in San Diego that during peak season for them, which is April to November, you could pay upwards of $350 a night.
For y'all that's camping on the East Coast, don't ever complain about prices, because we're not there. We are, if we go to Disney World, which we typically do every 18 months or so, $185 a night max.
Right.
And, it's Disney. So, you're going to get some amenity with that. You're going to get a really nice site. It's going to be black paved and all of that good stuff.
Yep.
Like, it's 5-star. But I've been to some sun resorts. They ain't all 5-star.
Oh, I feel you. Trust me, I know. I feel you.
Wow.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is a very interesting perspective, because we over here, like the group AARVC, which you're a member of, shout out to Arnell and the folks that run that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We don't get exposed to this conversation because a lot of the stuff is East Coast, Mid-Atlantic, Central South based.
Right.
So to hear this gives a whole different perspective of why we need to step up and start doing some of these things to expose not only our people to, this lifestyle, but let them know, hey, you don't have to pay these resort options.
Right.
We can bring the band, we can bring the party right to you, and like either Boondock or in the state park or something like that. So, wow. And kind of sort of segueing right into the next question, talking about this. Okay, so you're paying these top dollar prices, and I know fuel in California can be a little pricey.
Yes, sir.
To say the least. When you start talking about safety over scenery, I know you're a military man. You got a few miles behind you on the road, and definitely plenty of stories. So when it comes to the safety side of this lifestyle, when you're traveling, whether it's solo or with family or however you do it, does safety ever steer your decision? Like, do you feel more at ease in a campground with folks nearby, like lights on, or maybe a park ranger? Or are you still comfortable boondocking, like far away from everything, with just kind of like the crickets and, your instincts for company? Like, where do you rest easiest at night?
For us, we feel most comfortable when we're boondocking. Campgrounds that especially around the metropolitan areas, can be sketchy. As we found, even the good ones, even the good ones, they could be a little sketchy. So we personally feel comfortable, way more comfortable when we're out boondocking somewhere, because we can control who's around us, where we go, so it's easier to protect ourselves, if we're out somewhere, vice sitting in a campground where, you have a neighbor, 15 or 20 feet away from you that you have no idea who they are. You know what I'm saying? So when we get all kinds, especially where we camp host. Yeah, we've had some great neighbors. Like one just left. We had a ball. He was here for 3 weeks. We had a great time. The dude before him, yeah, I had to make sure that we were protected. Let me put it that way. So,
and I got to ask this because this is California we're talking about, very much like Maryland.
Right.
You have to be selective about how you protect yourself. More so.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Definitely, I wasn't expecting you to say what you said. I think here on the East Coast, just as a comparison, we don't have that worry too much because most of the campgrounds are in rural area. Like, you're not going to camp in New York. There's one place that you can go to, but it's a parking lot. Anything south of that or even north of that, you're going to be, rural. Even when you get into like New Jersey and New York, you're talking like Newburgh, west of the city, out of the way, country folks. Like, we're not, there's not that type of drama. But I do understand that California is different. And if you are that close to metropolitan areas, I can only imagine. It's kind of like sleeping at a truck stop. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, but, and let me kind of clarify that a little bit, Keon. Because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. You know what I'm saying? Because the campgrounds here, we don't have the variety of campgrounds that you guys have on the East Coast.
Okay.
So you're going to fall into probably one of three categories when you're out here. You have the resorts. You have your county or your city campgrounds. And then you have, I take four. And then you have military campgrounds. And then you have what we call basically full-time campgrounds, where people are there all the time.
Okay.
So, and it's not where, people are coming in and out for those type of campgrounds. So the ones that, you may find the most problems with are the ones that are fully full-time, where they're living in their rig on site all the time. That's where you will find most of your issues.
And when you say issues, can you give me a small example without being, it's that guy right there?
What do you mean?
When you say issues, like what type of issues?
Where you're going to have you're going to have the race issues. You're going to have the I would say class issues. Because I know when we roll in with our fifth wheel, you're talking about getting some looks. We get looks. I mean, we don't look like the average RVer, especially on the West Coast. So when we roll in with a big old Ram dually and a big old brand new fifth wheel, it turns some heads, and it's not always a good head turn. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of watch that, because you're going to get, even though they may nod, that's about all you're going to get, because you're not going to get any conversation after that. They'll walk by you before they'll speak to you. So it's kind of one of those situations where, especially in the resorts, we find that quite a bit.
Well, folks and family, we had a conversation about this a few months ago, and you have just confirmed it. Like, this is real. I've never run into that situation. I did have somebody ask me one time, I think it was when I first bought this. I was in Disney, of all places. And the guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, how you doing? It's a pretty nice rig there. What do you do for a living?"
Right.
And I'm like, and I started to say, I think my neighbors think I'm selling dope. But I didn't say,
yeah.
Sorry, NWA hip-hop thing, my bad. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. But, that was literally the only time, and I'm only 46 as of 2 weeks ago. So I don't have the experience of the 70s and 80s like you do.
Right.
I don't know what that blatant look of racism is. I don't know. So to hear you say that, and it's 2025 and people are still doing that, especially, black man, rig, oh, he must be up to some, that amazes me. And I've had people tell me, oh yeah, well, this happens. I'm not saying I didn't believe them, but hearing that from you, it gives a lot more credibility to that. And I appreciate your blatant honesty about it. It gives me now something to think about and talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, with that being said, we're still talking about a small percentage, but it's a noticeable percentage. It's not something that I worry about anytime we move around or we'll go someplace. It's not something I really worry about. But it's I would tell you that the parts of the country you're in makes a big difference.
Okay.
We were in Texas. We were in Houston. About a year ago.
Okay.
And we had a couple of incidents in Houston where it surprised me. It really did surprise me. Because I would have never thought that, in that place, in that particular area, that we would have any issues. And we did. And it surprised me. It really did.
I mean, next to Washington, D.C. and other cities like that where you have international communities that are prevalent, New York, like Houston is one of the biggest melting pots. Las Vegas, I think, would be even bigger. Those are the type of places that you think that you would not have those issues.
Right. But I think, and I don't want to get on this topic, but I think it's the political climate that we're in.
Okay.
I think that plays a big part of it. And again, not going any deeper into that.
I got you.
But before it was as hot as it is now, we didn't have those problems.
Okay.
We were able literally to travel this country and not have any issues. I mean, we've been in deep Wyoming, deep Idaho, hell, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We had no problems, and if you know any history about Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Montana's, we had great times, met great people with no problems whatsoever. So I really think it's the times that we're in that that manifests some of these situations coming up these days.
Yeah, and I'll definitely get, we'll talk about it on another show, because that has come up in some conversation just in and about the campground. And as they always say, there's always two sides of the coin and then the truth.
Right.
And I am one that, right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't care who says it or who does it. And I definitely, that is something to jot down, to talk about at a later time. Now, kind of sort of looking at another aspect of this, forgetting the cost, forget the hookups. Let's talk about that moment, because there's a reason that we do this. So you step outside early in the morning, you got a coffee in hand, the sun is just coming up. What fills your soul? Is it a campground morning where people staring, baking on the griddle away from the site next door? Or do you like that boondocking quiet, nothing but birds, maybe a breeze, that feeling like, the world forgot how to rush? What makes you think, this is why I keep doing this? What's that thing?
For me personally, it's waking up, opening the door, or looking out the window and seeing nothing. When you're out there boondocking, right. You're not really looking at anything else. I mean, you got the desert out there, you got some forest out there. That's perfect. But with that being said, we've been in some amazing campgrounds where we've had that same feeling. It's like where we camp host currently in Santee, California. I open my door, like right now I'm looking out my window at a lake. So and I still get that feeling when I wake up in the morning. But just for me, just the whole experience of living in an RV, knowing that it's a matter of minutes where I can hitch up and pull out and in an hour or so I can be somewhere else. just that freedom really is what it's all about for me. Just that ability to change my backyard or my front yard, at a whim if I choose to. So I'd say most of the more of a freedom aspect. But if it really comes down to it, you let me boondock and I'm good. Out there with especially with some good people. If you're out there with some others that that you enjoy their company, there's nothing like it. There really isn't.
All right, now, Mr. Nathan, there's one thing I ask everybody, and I didn't prep you for this because I want the straight truth, no sugarcoating, and I'm just going to flat out ask you, what is the one thing that just pisses you off when you're camping? Like, it could be loud neighbors, rude park staff, folks that don't clean up after themselves, whatever it is. We want to hear it, and I want to know, has that thing that pisses you off changed the way you camp? Like, did it push you to boondock more, change locations, rethink where you want to, what you want to do? Like, don't hold back. We know you've earned the right to say the truth and to say it plain, and we want to know what pisses you off.
And I'm gonna be real 100 on this one.
Come with it. Come with it.
When our people walk by you in the campground and not speak to you, that is the one that will make me itch this thing up
Clearly,
and want to get out of here.
I hear you.
That's the one. I can deal with the noise. I can deal with a little bit of trash. Don't disrespect me as a human. You know what I'm saying? I'm the friendliest dude in the world. I will talk to a tree. That's how I am. Don't walk by me and not speak.
Hello? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you don't even have to have a conversation. You don't have to offer me a beer. I don't want any of your bacon. Just say, hey.
How you doing?
That's all it takes.
That's it. That's it.
Wow.
It's that simple.
Wow. Listen, you have opened my eyes to a lot. And you were the elder person that I talked to out of these 3 interviews. And when I tell you that you have given me a lot of information to think about, I just want to thank you. Like, you've given me some things to think about, some things to look forward to, and some topics to talk about, because you've exposed some areas that my Generation X, we don't know nothing about, but we need to. And we need to deal with it and talk about it and put it out there in forums like this so that the work that came before us from previous generations isn't just lost. So I just want to say thank you again for everything that you just put out here. Real truth, raw truth. That's what we're about right here on Hanging with the Hazes. So from my family to you, my man, thank you so much.
I appreciate you. And I'm always available. If there's other topics, I will literally speak on any topic you can bring up. Been out here doing it for a while, and I'm pretty confident and pretty comfortable with it.
All right. Folks, there you have it. Mr. Nathan, all the way from Compton, California, thank you again, and we will be talking to you real soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
Be sure to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you can always catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Hanging with the Hazes.